Man is what he eats, wrote Feuerbach, and it's not difficult to sense that the history of a civilization can be read in the history of food and the development of taste. There's no food or gastronomical tradition that does not thrust its roots into the depths of the experience of living. Food, wine, and the recipes are the memory of time and events and the personalities who've lived through them. Wild and archaic, Sardinian cuisine has retained native agro-pastoral usages, traditions that with every probability go back to the mysterious Nuraga culture. Sheep's milk rennet, corn, aromatic herbs, game, these must have been the diet of the Nuraga inhabitants. Today, 4,000 years later, the sea has brought hybrid influences: Phoenician, Carthaginian, Spanish, and Byzantine. But in spite of it being an island, seafood conquered the region much later, but in an irremediable manner. The local menu has been enriched, making the most delicious recipes its own, from the shellfish of Catalan Alghero to the preference for the dishes of genuine origin of the San Antioco and San Pietro Islands, where pesto, but also casca, the local version of Arabian couscous, are at home. Once the riches of the sea were discovered, the island has given its best, bringing to the table fish alla vernaccia, dogfish, or spaghetti alla botarga, mullet, the Sardinian speciality par excellence, extremely delectable in the Oristano area. Preserved seafood is characteristically Sardinian, a usage of fishermen often forced to remain at sea for several days. But when the coast is left behind, it's in the interior that native savors are brought to the table. Salamis, meats and cheeses offered in forms that vary from area to area in small gastronomic microcosms. Welcome then to the kingdom of cheese. It's as well to know that Sardinia offers the greatest production of sheep's cheese in Europe. Here they are the canestrati, sheep's cheese paste seasoned in willow baskets, soft and hard sheep's cheese paste, ricottas, both Roman and Sardinian sheep's cheese protected by the DOP. There's also among the jewels of dairy produce the giodu, and the Sardinian fiore, also DOP, similar to a yogurt that's made from untreated sheep's cheese, widespread in Barbagia, and the peretta of Macomer, the only cow's cheese, good fresh, but also cooked over perfumed wood embers and with blueberries. The blueberry, other than providing one of Sardinia's most well-known liqueurs, is also one of the aromas with which porcetto, milk piglets, is eaten hot or cold. But there's another delicacy that comes from the Nuora area, food of the gods, many say. Sirboni interrau, interred boar, cooked in an evocative ritual in a hole in the ground, covered by branches of aromatic plants such as juniper, mastic, and arbutus, and covered with a layer of earth. Meats and salamis are some of the main courses of the local cuisine: hams, sausages, and black puddings, like the cordula and the trattalia made from the innards of sheep. Rivea is one example among them all. Indeed, Giuseppe Garibaldi, who was at home in Gallura, praised this dish made from sheep's liver and lights, bound together by the animal's intestines. home's former granary could not then but develop a strong vocation for bread and pasta. Fresh-made pasta is often coupled with sober but never banal fillings. Taste the oliastra culurgionis, half-moon ravioli filled with potato, fresh sheep's cheese, olive oil, excellent in Sardinia, one of the best in the world, garlic and pennyroyal complete the recipe. Also simple but unforgettable is the preparation of maloredos, typical Sardinian gnocchi, perhaps the most famous of Sardinian pastas, with ribbed oval characteristics, dried in the sun and the air. The other successful Sardinian byproduct of wheat is bread, carasau, the thin wafer, also called a sheet of music, that feeds shepherds during the movement of the herd from one pasture to another, is very well known. A trademark that certifies its origin is envisaged to protect its characteristics. Made to last for days, but is also served as a hot soup on fratau bread, with tomatoes, grated sheep's cheese, and half-cooked eggs in the boiling soup. La Marmona noted in his report to the Turin court halfway through the 19th century that flour was a kind of ancestral dowry for the Sardinians. Every family ground its own, helped by an ass, and every woman sieved it to purify it. Another typical ingredient common to all the center-south is the fregola, semolina worked in small balls, used as a base for savory stews, particularly with shellfish. A call from the shellfish brings us back to the coast. The Sardinian is not a high seas fisherman, but of pools and lagoons. Grey mullet, oret and bass, as well as shellfish, are the main dish of Oristano and Cagliari cuisines. Dishes that go back to the Phoenicians and the merca, rare by now. Mullet stuffed and left to soften, wrapped in the sea hay of the Oristano lagoon. But we can't leave burrida out, with its marine dogfish base, with walnut sauce, oil, vinegar, and aromatic herbs. The incredible variety that good food itineraries in Sardinia offer us is difficult to comprehend in a single glance. Sardinian cuisine knows many soups: bean soup, cabbage soup, and farro, where the vegetables are wed to lamb and pork. In Gallura, bean soup is at home, a typically rural dish and, they say, of Nuraga taste. A dish bound to a rough competitive sport, sistrumpa, the special form of wrestling that still survives on the island. In the past, at the beginning of the challenge that takes place in the open air, the members of the jury boil pork chops, thin lard with the rind and feet of the animal. Then, when the match is about to finish, dried beans, savoys, wild fennel and red peppers are added. The losers then pay for all these goodies. A small panorama of traditional gastronomy in Sardinia has to make reference to wine. The island is improving in terms of quality and production. By now, local bottles cross the Tyrrhenian Sea and penetrate national and international markets. Local producers are winning the challenge launched in the 60s, when the wish for innovation resulted in the creation of lighter wines, different to traditional, excessively sweet wines. In this way, new wines, the fruit of new generations of wine growers, joined the classical Gallura, Canonau and Vermentino. In the the south, Cagliari wines cover almost all the regional DOC wines. Cagliari, Cananao, Nuragus, Muscatel and Nasco are the pearls of this area, while Spanish Carignano can be found in the rocky triangle of the Sulcis and the Iglesiente. Mora is instead the land of Cananao, called Nepente in Oliena, like the drink that the ancient Greeks thought caused visions, a wine decanted because of its perfume by the poet D'Annunzio. In this wine-growing area, there are also other illustrious wines, like the sweet Bosa Mounzi and the robust Mandorlosai red. The pride of the production of the southwest area lies in the Oristano area, Vernaccia. Its perfume evokes almonds and hazelnuts and is the ideal match for seafood gastronomy. Our fleeting journey in the discovery of Sardinian wines ends in Sassari. Here in 96, the Fermentino was raised in the splendor of DOCG, controlled and guaranteed denomination of origin. So, from hors d'oeuvre to dessert. Any respectable gourmet would look at the dessert menu with trepidation in search of genuine tastes. Well, in Sardinia, desserts are prepared exclusively from local ingredients, such as honey, ricotta, must, orange peel, and almonds. Those who are looking for something important can opt for seadas, large, thin pasta ravioli filled with the cheese of the day, fried in oil and upon which honey is poured to eat hot, a real delicacy. The ozieri sospiri are worth more than a taste. Round cakes with a base of chipped almonds, orange and lemon peel covered in chocolate and wrapped like sweets. Some producers have experimented with innovations to the recipe, adding blueberry liqueur or maraschino to the pastry, or covering it, as we said, with icing and dark chocolate. Almonds and honey are then the ingredients at the base of torrone nuga, produced mainly in the heart of the mountains of Sardinia and is the real protagonist of village festivals. The substance and forms of another cake has remained intact that documents from the 17th century link to the baptisms of the past. This is saranzada, cooked in honey, the orange peel here being cut into strips and mixed with the almonds. It represented sa toradura for fathers, a symbolic restitution of the present due to the sun. Important products bring us to the Oristano area, the mostazolos in rhomboid form and a taste that recalls the presence of concentrated must. The form, common to the papacinas with a sieved sapa raisin base, might recall the features of the Mediterranean mother goddess, as can be admired enshrined in the archaeological museums of the island. Following the tastes of Grazia de Leda, you can taste the gâteau with almond arches and dive into the campidano with the sapa bread and periquitos. It's a short step from cakes to honey, but Sardinia is the land of bitter honey, extolled by Virgil and produced by apiarists widespread around the island. Guspini, Cardedu and Olbia are some of the centres where apiaries offer the most delicious honey, but also cosmetic products. The various flowerings allow the creation of an exceptional range of shadings and aromas, from oranges and lemons to asphodel to eucalyptus, but also to chestnut and thistle. You can understand Sardinia through its gastronomic tradition, but without renouncing discovering the two faces and two characteristics of the island, ever in tension between tradition and creativity, the interior and the coast. There's no absolute or irreconcilable faiths, only different interpretations of the same extraordinary heritage.